Hey guys, welcome back to another episode here on This Is Just the Beginning. I'm your host Ellie and I hope you're well. Today's episode is kind of just going to be about the whole new year. I've done an episode about New Year's resolutions before, but I think this one is going to be more about how to really look forward at your year and make this your year that you want it to be. So many times we think, oh yeah, this is going to be our year. For example, I think a lot of us in 2020, with the start of a new decade, we were all like, this is going to be the best year ever, and then COVID hit. So in a way, be mindful of that some things happen that aren't in your control. But I'm not going to start with a negative. I'm going to start with kind of discussing how we can really make this year the best year yet. Before I do that, I kind of just want to do a little recap of the last week or so in my life. So to be honest, not a lot have happened since Christmas. It's been a very chill week and I've kind of just been working and just kind of catching up on things that I haven't been able to do over this month. One of those things has been my blog and my Instagram, and all my social media has just gone kind of just tits up because, you know, December is a very busy period, so I do apologise for that. But one thing is to stay consistent, and it's this podcast, which I'm really excited about. I do them every Wednesday, as you probably know by now, and it's just something that I do to kind of journal, diary. It's my way of getting things out that's on my mind, and that's why I have done a schedule for my podcast, and I do have some very exciting episodes coming up with some very special guests, so definitely keep an eye out for them in the coming few weeks and months. But yeah, I've kind of just been trying to reorganize all of that. But then it was New Year's, and New Year's weekend was a very busy weekend for me. A couple of days before New Year's, we finally had a girls' get-together, and if you're similar age to me, you know that when you're at home and you're trying to meet all your friends from back at home, from back at school, it's so hard to organise anything, even though it's Christmas or summer when, especially in the summer when everyone's free most of the time, bar like 1 week when people go on holiday, that kind of thing. Over Christmas, it is a busier period. Some people are back for a week, some people are back for a whole month. It really does depend. But we finally found one day that we could all do, and we had a really nice night. And I don't know, because being back at home, even though I'm still in my hometown, most of my friends are still at uni because I've dropped out. So it is kind of hard seeing everyone come back from uni thinking, oh, I'm not at uni anymore. And I think I have done an episode about this when in September it was really hard to see everyone going back to uni and me staying at home. And I feel like it's still hard seeing everyone going back now after Christmas. But I've got to remind myself that we are all on different life paths, and that's something that I really want you to take forward with you this year. That things might happen this year that are completely out of your control, but you have the power to make them your own and make them into a good thing, and you can learn from them. And if you're not on the same life path as your friend or your sister, or like where your parents were at your age, it doesn't matter. Like, you're on your completely different life path to everyone else, so just keep that in mind. New Year's itself was really fun. I spent it with my sister and her friends down in Bath where she's at uni, and again it was kind of like I brought some friends from home, uni friends. It was all a bit of a mismatch, but it was a really fun night, and I did really have a fun night there because I was home alone for a week as my parents were away for New Year's, so it was nice to go down there for a few days and just spend time with people who I do spend a lot of time with, but not with the same group of friends. Like, it's mismatched with a group of friends, and it was just really fun. Again, that is always hard when you have friends from all over the country, from uni and everything, and then you get them all together. It's kind of awkward, but everyone always has a good night. Now, kind of getting on with the episode, I want you first of all to kind of look back on last year and think, what went well last year for you? Whether that's you got a new job, whether you aced your exams at uni, or whether it's more of like a complex thing with you finally learned to love yourself, or you're in recovery from an eating disorder, or you got over a breakup. Stuff like that, little things or big things that you think really went well for you. Maybe I'm saying that maybe like a breakup, it wasn't well, but then you've learned from it. Those things where you can really pinpoint, okay, yeah, that really worked for me. For example, with me, the bad thing was dropping out of uni, and it was a very, very emotional time. But then I found more or less my dream job, and now I'm doing better than ever, and I love it, and I love just doing social media all the time. I'm not getting bored of it yet. It is a lot of hard work, especially doing my personal social media alongside my brand that I'm working with. So it's a lot of hard work, but I'm not bored of it. The only thing that's a bit annoying is that I scroll on TikTok and Instagram a lot for work and finding new ideas, new trends to do. So whenever I want downtime, and TikTok used to be my downtime, it's not really downtime anymore, so I'm trying to find new hobbies, and that's kind of my first goal of the new year, is to really get back into old hobbies like reading, which is not hard to do. And I should really schedule even time in the morning, like when I first get up, have 10 minutes in the morning where I read, or I don't know, just read 10 pages just to get that kind of out the way. So I've done one kind of self-care habit, a hobby in the morning, because I mean, in my therapy session not long ago, my therapist said to me, do you have any hobbies? Because it sounds like you just work all the time and you always have to be productive. And yeah, that's true. My kind of downtime is Netflix. When I'm working from home, or anything I'm doing, whether that's work or my own social media, blogging, whatever it is, I always have Netflix on in the background or music on in the background, but that's still not downtime. Sure, I watch Netflix before I go to sleep at night, I watch TV, but it's not really downtime, that's just part of a routine, if you know what I mean. And it was a very interesting question. It's kind of like, it's good to be productive, sure, but you need to schedule in downtime and find hobbies to do. Again, with me, I like colouring in, making friendship bracelets, like really mindless activities, which I picked up at the start of ED recovery because I needed something to stop myself from working out, because part of my eating disorder was just working out with any moment I could get, and I found it really hard to sit down. I always had to be stood up, moving, and I always just freaked out when I had to sit down for long periods of time. So when I kind of started recovery, when I finally started recovery, it was, my day was just full of doing hobbies, because I started like around the time of my exams, but I did languages at uni, so I didn't really have that many important exams and they were all online, so not a lot of my day was taken up by revision. And the other days that I had nothing to do, I would go for a walk, I'd do yoga, I'd read, I'd make bracelets, I'd watch a bit of Netflix, I don't even know what I did. I'd bake, I'd do loads of different things in my day, but then it was still kind of trying to be productive. But I used it as a distraction from, don't do a workout, don't do this, and it did work, but none of them were really hobbies, they were just distractions, so I've never really had a hobby. Hockey was a hobby for me for ages, and I've been meaning to get back into it and join my club again at home, but I just can't find it in me to go, because to be honest, I am busy a lot with work, and I just think if I start doing that, I'm going to have no time at all. But then that's a hobby, and it will really be, again, another distraction from your everyday life. That's what sports and hobbies are really good at, in a very healthy way. I'm not talking about in a toxic way, where it kind of just gets your mind off things, especially if you ever played hockey. It's great to get aggression out. I did love it for that, to be honest. But then like just other hobbies I had, like I need to get back into writing. Yeah, sure, I'm a blogger, I write there, but I want to write my short stories, my novels that I used to do so much as a kid, really. Or to be fair, before uni I did that, and now I just don't do it anymore, and I need to get back into it, because who knows, one day I could publish a book. And my goal last summer was to write a self-care book and get it published, or not even published, just have it there, and you know what I mean, just have it on my desktop and just have a book fully ready. And I just never did it, because in my mind I'm like, I could literally just use my favourite blog posts and put it into a book form. If you've ever read 100 Essays to Change the Way You Think by Brianne Wiest, I don't know who that is. I don't know how to say her name, sorry. If you've ever read that, I want it to kind of be something like that. And that is my favourite book I've ever read. It was the first self-help, self-care, self-love book that I read, because it was obviously trending. It's a great book, and I just love it so much. Another book I love is, I've just started The Mountain Is You, again by Brianne Wiest, I want to say her name is. That is really good. It's all about healing against self-sabotage, and on a very much deeper level. Another one I've read is, there's two by Vex King. I forgot the names now, but Vex King again is incredible. Atomic Habits again I've read, and yeah, I just love all self-help books, because they tend to be quite short and you can just read them here and there. They're in chapter forms, but it's usually quite short. You can kind of pick around which ones suit you best, and that's kind of something I'd suggest doing. I'm guessing you're listening to this podcast because you're on a self-care journey, or you want to start a self-discovery journey. I'd start with self-help books, and a lot of people are very skeptical of them, because they're like, oh, it's all voodoo, blah, blah, blah. No, it's genuinely just trying to help you learn more about yourself. You can't start, for example, ED recovery without reconnecting with yourself, and that's what I learned. It took me a very, very long time to learn it, and I tried recovery so many times, like, oh, just eat more or do less exercise, and of course I couldn't do that. I freaked out if I did that, because I didn't know who I was. I was literally detached from myself. If you have an ED, if you are in recovery, if you know people who have, those people would tell you that you are just detached from yourself, like you are just a vessel. All you think about is food and exercise. Like you are not a person during those days, and it's really, really difficult to look back on and think, I wasn't a person, I was just a shell of a body. Not even that, I was obviously so small, I was just nothing in a way. And I look back thinking, how did I live like that? And obviously there's many reasons for that, but I just think I never ever want to go back to that way. And that's kind of the one thing keeping me from relapsing. It's like I don't want to be back to that kind of never smiling, always crying. But I didn't even cry. I couldn't even cry. I had no energy to cry. Like just that kind of vessel. I never want to go back to that. And that's kind of my main reason to stop me from relapsing ever. And I don't think I'm ever going to relapse, because I'm definitely a lot of a stronger person than I was back then. Going back now to what I said, the kind of first thing I was saying about reflecting on 2023, think back again and think what didn't go so well, and think about maybe the breakdowns you had. Try and pinpoint what went wrong then. So I made the connection of dropping out of uni was my huge breakdown for months and months and months, and then I finally decided to drop out, and then it was all good again. I'm not saying it's all been good since. Like, sure, you might have a breakdown, then it might be super good the next day and you're feeling so much better, and then you have another breakdown. I still have breakdowns about dropping out of uni, as one example. I still have breakdowns about wanting to relapse. I still have breakdowns about my breakup, which is still kind of new. It's about just over a month, I'd say about 6 weeks we broke up, and I still think about it, and I still feel guilty, and I still feel loads of emotions about it. But I remind myself that it's in the past, and as soon as you kind of say, look, park it in the past, you can kind of push it away. But then again, at the same time, that's kind of toxic. If you are still really kind of hung up about something that's happened, you need to start learning why. And the best way to do that is to go to therapy, but I get not everyone can afford that, and a lot of people don't want to go to therapy. So I just suggest literally just journal, or just talk it through with someone you trust, whether it's a mum, friend, partner, whoever it is. Talk it through with someone, or simply talk it through with yourself. So many times sitting in bed out loud, out loud, I'm just sat there talking to myself, thinking, why am I so anxious? Why am I so hung up about this? And then you just start unraveling everything one by one. Again, journaling is a great way to do that. But I've learned when I'm in that kind of mood, when there's just so much on my mind, I can't write as quick as I think, so I type because I'm quite a quick typer. I type everything on a Word document, and with no punctuation, no nothing, just get it all down on a page. And again, that is a really good way to do it if you don't really write anymore, because a lot of people don't use a pen and paper. Just write it all down on your laptop, and your mind will just become so much clearer. Like, you might think, I have no idea why I feel so anxious today, or that kind of thing. As soon as you start writing, kind of without thinking, the way you just let yourself just write or talk, or however you're doing it, you begin to understand a lot more about yourself than you could have if you never did that. So that is something that I would really recommend doing. In comparison, like, when you think about something that happened so long ago, it's really hard to then look back on that without breaking down, for example, or even so much has happened since that thing that happened, for example, that you think, I don't know how I should feel about this now, like, why am I still breaking down about it? For that, I would really suggest going to therapy, because there's some things that's happened to me in my life, like from 2 years ago, that I still can't really get over, and that's why I'm in therapy, to deal with that, because I can't do that on my own, and I've tried to do it with other people, but that kind of thing I don't want to put on other people, if you know what I mean. So a therapist is a really good way to deal with that, but you just have to be open. And that's kind of the one thing, if you take anything from this, you have to be open and honest with yourself this year. For example, I've spoken about academic burnout before, and academic validation, and kind of, when you just push through, even though you're tired, you just keep pushing through, as well with the gym, anything like that, and you're so tired and you can't possibly go on, but you think, no, just one more day, or I'll just get this done and then I'll be fine, and then you burn out, right? And everyone's had that feeling before. And if you are very much someone who loves academic validation like me, I mean, not so much anymore, but I'm still kind of more towards like productive validation, if you get what I mean, if I'm not doing academics anymore. If you're someone like me with that, it's so hard to be honest with yourself, saying, I'm so tired, I can't do this anymore, or not even do this anymore, but I need a break. It's so hard to finally admit that to yourself, because you might feel like you failed, and that is hard. Especially, I mean, kind of linking it to like New Year's resolutions. If your resolution is to get back into the gym or go to the gym every day, do exercise every day. If you haven't done anything in a while, and I've said this on the blog post today, but if you haven't done anything in a while, like in the gym, for example, if you're not really had a consistent workout schedule, if you then go and do it every single day, like I work out every single day or 6 times a week, you are going to get so tired so quickly. Or even not if it's like that, but if you just start hitting the gym really hard every day or doing more than you usually do, you cannot, that is not sustainable. And it's about being honest with yourself that day where you are so tired and you physically, mentally, you're just so drained and you don't want to go to the gym, but you still do it. You're going to feel worse about yourself. And it's about kind of allowing yourself to fail every now and again. But that is not failure. I'm using that as a term that you will understand, and it will kind of prick your ears up a bit. It's not failing, it's you listening to your body and being honest with yourself and saying, I can't do that today. Again, with work and studying, especially at work, if you have such a long to-do list and you're like, there's no way I'm going to get this done, I'm going to have to work overtime, I'm going to have to do extra hours that I'm not going to get paid for, I'll have to stay up all night doing this, stay in the office all night. It's about being honest with yourself to then be honest with your superiors or whoever is in charge of you kind of at work and say, look, I can't physically get all of this done. I'm kind of having a breakdown here. Can you please help me, or can you find someone to help me with these kind of things? Because one, I don't know how to do X, for example, and two, I don't have time to do Y, you know? And in a work environment, they are, like, people are nice, especially if you're young like me. Like, as soon as you say, I'm having a bit of a breakdown here, I don't know how to do this, can you please help me try and like find time to do this, and they might say, okay, yeah, sure, like we'll cancel this meeting, I'll take this from you. They're not going to say, no, grow up, you're on your own. They can't say that. I mean some people will, but for the most part, employers are nice, and it's about opening up and just standing up for yourself and saying, hey, I'm struggling, can you please help? Again, with mental health, that kind of thing. Don't struggle on your own. I know sometimes it's really hard to reach out to people, but I guarantee there's one person in your life, whoever that might be. It might be a teacher, it might be a friend of a friend of a friend, it might be someone you don't know that well but you think you can trust them. Please open up to them about it, because who knows, maybe they've gone through something very similar, or maybe they know someone who can really help you and they have advice on it, whatever it is. Please speak to someone about it, because as soon as you speak up about it, there's a huge weight lifted off your shoulders with any kind of mental health issue, or even if it's just simply, I'm just so tired, I don't know what to do anymore. Those kind of things, you have to speak up for yourself about it. You have to say something, otherwise it's just going to get worse and worse. And I know it's hard to do that, but this year, let's all change the kind of stigma around it and just stand up and speak for ourselves and get the help we really, really deserve. Another thing I want you to think about this year, kind of lightening it up a bit now, is think about, I mean, if you've been on TikTok and you're similar age to me, you all know, like, the kind of trend where it's like, what era are you in right now? And I'm hoping you understand that. If not, I'll kind of explain it to you briefly. It's just basically, I mean, it started out as a TikTok filter, and it says, like, what era are you in? And it might be, like, productive era, bad girl era, revenge era, breakup era. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? It's, like, different kind of chapters of your life. Like, what chapter are you in right now? And if you asked me what chapter I'm in, based off the filter, no, I'm joking. I have done that though, and it's funny what came up. Since kind of the breakup between me and my ex, I was a mess for a week, and then I just poured everything into work. And I would say I'm definitely in my productive girl era. I mean, I was kind of the end of 2023 for those 6 weeks. I was so productive and I loved it. Since Christmas, it's kind of fallen off the bandwagon a bit, and it's the 3rd of January right now, and I've not been as productive as I should have been the last couple of days. But why do people say that the new year starts on the 1st? I mean, I know it does, but everyone is hungover on the 1st. So it's a bank holiday. Why does it have to start on the 1st? And I'm starting on the 3rd because back at work today, I stayed over at my sister's until yesterday evening. So, you know, today it starts for me. And again, don't put the pressure on yourself to start on the day that everyone else is. If you can, great. But if you can't, so what? You're doing it at your own pace. But now I'd kind of say that I am in, and if you've heard this phrase as well, I mean, I feel like most of you will have, but it's do it for the plot. And what that means is that you were just doing things that kind of just makes your life interesting. I think is the best way to explain it. It's like, oh, I'll just do it for the plot. I'll just do that, or I don't know, if I could get an example, oh, I'll just get with that guy, why not? It's kind of like shake things up, that kind of thing. Spice up your life a bit, without quoting that horrendous song, but that kind of thing, just to make life a bit more interesting. Do stuff out your comfort zone, be spontaneous, those kind of things. And I'm definitely in that era now, from things that have happened recently. I'm definitely in that kind of do it for the plot, I don't really care kind of attitude, where I'm just back in my party girl era, and I love it, absolutely love it. And I've missed that side of me so much, because without kind of getting into the relationship too much, and I say this every time, but when I was with my ex, it was kind of like I felt guilty if I went out with my friends, because he would always think that I'd be off cheating on him or doing things. Like, he'd always say, oh, I don't know what happened on the night out, like, don't tell me, as though he expected the worst every time. So I always felt really guilty when I went out, and I look back and I'm like, why did I feel so guilty? That was obviously his kind of issues there. But like on a night out, when it's such a fun night and you want to tell, I don't know, your boyfriend, or you really want to tell someone about it, like, oh, this happened, or I was this drunk, or like, something happens and you really want to tell someone. I could never tell him. Like, I'd start to tell him and he'd be like, I don't want to know. And that just wound me up so much, because earlier in the year, kind of like my last term at uni, so term 2, so from like January to March, then even after that till like June, I was like fully party girl. I had a boyfriend, but who says you can't club if you've got a boyfriend? I just went out, had fun. Because I had a boyfriend as well, it was like I was with no makeup on, hair in a hair mask in a bun, like slicked back, not really like dressing my best, because I had a boyfriend as well, and I wasn't going out to look good or for photos or anything. I was just there to have a great night, and those are truly the best nights, when they're very spontaneous and you just go out with one other person. Like, me and my best friend from uni just went out all the time, and it was just great. And I've spoken about that before, but I've kind of found that again now, and it's kind of like I can be that girl that I was then, but I can get with guys now, or I can flirt, I can do other things. And I'm not saying like in a relationship that was holding me back, but I'm just saying the comparison is that I'm literally the same girl as that was, and I'm just waiting to break free. Not because I wanted to get with loads of other guys, no, it wasn't like that, but I've realised I'm kind of at a stage in my life where I don't want a relationship. I want to do the dating thing. I've never really done it, because I met my boyfriend when I just turned 19. Before that, it was COVID, and I was going through anorexia, so I had no time for guys. Like, I spoke to guys, like, I flirted with guys, don't get me wrong, I went on a couple dates in first year with guys, but I was never really a proper dater, one night stand kind of girl. And now I am kind of in that mindset now, and it's very weird to think about. It's very weird, but I'm really having fun with it, and it is just like, I'm such a confident girl. Like, sure, I've got my insecurities, but God, my confidence has just rocketed up recently, and I love it. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll do it for the plot. So that's kind of the era I'm in, and I'd recommend you kind of thinking about like, oh, like, what chapter of my life am I in? Like, am I in the do it for the plot? Am I in the proper productive, working, studying, that kind of era? But don't get me wrong, you can do both. You can do all of this. As I said, I'm being productive. I'm in my productive girl era. Not that I'm saying that I'm never productive unless I'm in this era. It's not like that, but I'm just like maximum productive plus partying. Like, you can do it all. And that's kind of how I want you to start thinking about your new year as well. Just thinking, hey, like, what kind of year do I want to have? What kind of month do I want to have? And as soon as you break it down into months, it's a lot easier to kind of think about. But yeah, like, just kind of think about how you want to live your life, regardless of what anyone thinks. And this is what I want to get onto now, kind of thinking about how do you want to live your life under your rules. It's your life. As I always say, like, why are you still comparing yourself to others? Why do you still care what other people think about you? You're never going to get anywhere if you continuously do that, and you're just going to have, well, quite a sad life. And I'm sorry if that's a really harsh truth, but it is. Like, you are on this path for you and for only you. And if you are surrounded by people who just drag you down, bring you down all the time, and you just don't really have that much fun with them, and you're just with them because you've been friends with them for years, and I don't know, this especially applies to like best friends from home. And I've been going through something with one of my friends from home recently, and I've just kind of thought, maybe I've just outgrown them. And I think another good thing to do at the start of the year is to really think about your group of friends or particular friends, and just think, am I still like the person I want to be with them? Like, are they still the person I want to hang around with? Are they still good for me? not really overanalyze all of your friendships, because that's not a good way to go about life, but kind of think about if there's just this one thing that you're always complaining about this one friend to your mum or something like that. Think, is it time I just kind of let her go? Like, and I kind of did that with when I broke up with my boyfriend. It was kind of like, it's just not serving me anymore, and I just didn't want to be with him anymore. And it was obviously really sad, because that's a really sad realization, and with best friends that's also a really sad realization to have. But then you've got to remember that this is for you and for no one else, and as soon as you realize that, it becomes a lot easier. Sure, you will still have breakdowns about it, you will still cry about it, thinking, oh, I regret it, oh, I made the wrong decision. I still think about that a lot, but I know it was for me and it's for the best. And even if you don't believe that at the start, you will. And it took me a long time to realize that, but I'm in a much happier place now that I'm single. I'm not just saying that because I'm single, but no, I've got no ties, and it's just, I feel really free at the moment, and I really do like it. Sure, I have breakdowns about it, but that's normal, that's going to happen. So with that, I'm going to kind of round up this episode today. I get it was kind of all over the place, but it's just kind of a first episode of the new year to kind of get you thinking about what kind of year you want and how you want to live your life for you. Try some self-help books. They will help you kind of direct your life a little bit. Just kind of be wary with them, because they're not for everyone, and some authors are better than others. The ones I mentioned earlier are a definite go-to. I definitely recommend them. They're on Amazon for like £8. You know, they're not that expensive, and they're very easy reads. I mean, they're not in the way that you're kind of analysing your deepest, darkest fears and thoughts and stuff, but they're an easy read in that you can just pick it up here and there, read at your own pace. It's not like a novel where you have to like read it all like a chapter at a time. You can just read page by page how you want to do it. So I would recommend that if you are looking for somewhere to start. As well, I was talking about the gym a bit earlier. Please do not put pressure on yourself to go to the gym and to work out all the time just because it's the new year and everyone's doing it. Remember that if you start losing weight and you think, I want to be this weight, and then you get smaller and smaller, new weight goals, you don't find more self-worth in being the smallest size you can be. And that's what I've taken a long time to learn, but I've realised now, like, the body I'm living in now is, like, includes the weight I was meant to gain in order to live the way I live now and to live my life to the fullest. And if that means I have to be heavier than I want to be, that's fine by me, because I know that I'm healthy. I eat healthy stuff, but then I also eat a lot of rubbish. Like this weekend I've eaten a lot of shit, but that's fine, because you can do that and you don't have to eat clean all the time. I just know that I'm healthy and I'm living the life I want to live because of the weight that I gained. So please, if you're really thinking about, oh, I need to lose weight, oh, I need to do this, think about why you want to lose weight. And if you do it for yourself and you do it for positive reasons, also in a healthy way, then that's absolutely fine. Like, I've got to stop saying, no, you're not allowed to lose weight, no one can lose weight. I get that some people want to lose weight, and that's fine. Just do it for the right reasons and have the right goals, the right time frame. If you think, oh, I want to lose 10 kilograms in a month, that's going to be quite hard. I mean, it's doable, trust me, I know, but it's really hard to do. So definitely go about it with caution and just ask yourself why you want to go back to the gym, why you want to lose weight. And then it becomes a lot easier, and then you're a lot easier on yourself as well. So I'm going to do a whole episode about fitness, gym, starting out your fitness journey, all of that, because I'm at the place now where I can talk about that, and I'm almost a qualified personal trainer, so I will be talking about that quite a lot in the future. So I want to do a whole episode on that in the coming weeks. So on that note, I hope you have a very good day wherever you are, whether you're enjoying a glass of wine in the bath listening to this, whether you're on a walk, whether you're on the way to work, whatever. I hope you have a really good day, and I'll speak to you very soon. Goodbye.